Oh, hi, I'm Denny May, a master gardener, master composter, master bloviator. And today I'm going to be showing you how to turn a pile of compost, okay? This is a pile of compost here that's about 6 weeks old. This black structure, it's about 100, this is about 115 degrees, but I turned it a week ago. It got up to 129 this week, so it needs to be charged, which what I'm going to do today. This structure right here is called a GEOBIN. Comes in these boxes from Montgomery County. In this case, you can probably get them all over the country, but this is a GEOBIN, and what we're going to do today is we're going to try to achieve this. Watch out, you're stepping on garlic. So in this pile, what we try to achieve is 3 parts carbon, leaves for the most part, plus 1 part nitrogen, green vegetable waste, plus water. Our water's turned off in the garden, but I brought some water, plus air. This thing needs air, and that's what we're doing today. We're turning this pile so that the part of it that's inside that you'll see in just a minute that's hot can get turned and more air can be put in there. If it doesn't get air, it can start to stink. So if you have compost that has vegetable scraps in it and starting to stink, you need to turn it like this and get some air in it. So all you do is take the stakes out, just like I'm doing right here. Takes about a minute. Then you lift the GEOBIN. The bed will stay put because it's wet. For the most part, it'll stay put. You just lift it up. Move it over here where it will become, we'll have a new place for this week. Okay? That took about a minute. Try to get it tight. The reason my temperatures are not higher than they are is because this GEOBIN is only 3 by 3 by 3. To get really hot temperatures, you need at least 4 by 4 by 4. And I just can't do that. But still, this isn't bad. So I'm going to start. I'm charging my pile now. I'm adding more carbon, more nitrogen in about a 3-to-1 ratio, and water, and I'm getting air by turning everything. So I'll start by putting some carbon on the bottom and mixing it up. It has a tendency, if it's wet, to stick together, and that's not good because then it can go anaerobic. You want to get air in there. Okay, so I got a bed. I've got a bed of carbon now. So I start with vegetable waste from the kitchen. Okay, so just kind of spread it around here a little bit on top of the carbon. Put about half of it in here. It will need some water. So our water in the garden is turned off, so I brought some today. Put some water in there. More carbon. Now you're going to notice something about the pile in just a minute, but not usually the stuff right on top. I always, whenever I put it in, I mix it up. These are just leaves from my yard and my neighbor's yards. I take their leaves too. Okay, so I'm shooting for about 3-to-1. Uh-oh. So I'm not starting to notice now. I don't know if you can pick it up on your camera, Emily, but there's steam coming out of that pile. There's steam coming out of this pile. Can you see it here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, more nitrogen. More water. More carbon. Now, if you're not a strong person and you think this looks hard, it's only as hard as you make it. You can pick up 1 pound of leaves with each stroke of this with this tool, or you can pick up 10 pounds. So it just depends on how big you are, how strong you are, how long you want to keep doing this. You pick up big spadefuls, it'll go faster. So you can see this stuff is steaming, and it's also a little bit compressed. It's compressed because it's been packed in all week. And it's starting to lose its identification in the middle. You can't really, you can tell some of it is leaves and some of it doesn't look like leaves anymore. Your compost is going to be done when it doesn't look like your ingredients anymore. And that could take you a few months. I forgot to mention that what we're doing right here is called hot composting, obviously. But why it's called hot is because we get temperatures high enough to complete the composting process in a much shorter time than you can like if you were just a pile of stuff. If you don't have the right combination, if you don't have air in it, if you don't have water in it, it will compost if it's got, you know, things like leaves and grass and stuff in it. It will compost, but it'll take a lot longer. I want to do it as fast as I can. I want to try to get this ready. This is December. It's 43 degrees today. I want to try to get this ready to put into my garden, at least as top dressing in the spring. I don't want to wait 2 years for the compost, which is what a backyard pile might take you. So you can see the stuff, especially in the middle, is really smoking. So now, got a lot of carbon in there, switching to a different nitrogen source. These are coffee grounds. Pick these up from a local coffee house. Great source of nitrogen. Some people think, I've heard some experts say that coffee grounds are the best thing to use in compost. I don't know. I think vegetable scraps are just as good, but anyway, so this is pretty much what we do now. You've got the hang of it. You want to try to break up the clumps of leaves as you put them in, just so more air can get to everything. But you can see it's hot.
Are you aiming for any particular temperature?
Yes, if you look at that, if you look at this thing, I don't know if you can focus in on that.
Yeah.
You can see that hot compost starts at 140. We're calling this hot because it's obviously got heat, but it's active between 100 and 130. I want to get between 130 and 150. Very hard to do in this small space. So the hotter you can get it up to, say, 150, the faster it will break down. You don't want to really go over 150 because then you start killing off things that you want to be alive. And get it too hot, it'll burn everything up. Not literally burn it up, but kill off the good stuff that you want to put in your garden. So I don't know why, but about 150 degrees seems to be about the top temperature. The nice thing about 150 degrees is that it will kill most weed seeds. Not all necessarily, but or vegetable seeds that you don't want coming up in places where you don't plant them. So if you can get it close to 150, you should have a pretty clean product when you're done. It's hard to do unless you have perfect ingredients and enough space and a big enough bin. So I'm doing this in the wintertime right now. The reason I'm doing it in the wintertime, you might think, well, why do you do it in the wintertime when it's cold? The wintertime is when we have leaves. They fall in the fall, you get them and you can use them in the winter. What happens in the summer if you try to compost, when you have all those grass clippings and all that stuff for nitrogen, there's no carbon around. And you have to hustle for it. And I don't feel like doing that. So this is the end of the coffee grounds. There's some filters mixed in there too. I picked this up at a coffee shop. The filters all break down. You won't even be able to recognize them next week. They'll be gone. And if you put any food scraps in here, for the most part, they'll be gone they'll be unrecognizable in a week. Except for eggshells. Eggshells hang around. So my film crew has to head off to a pinball event today. So I'm gonna probably stop now. This is half done. This has been about 10 or 15 minutes. All I'm gonna do for the next 15 minutes is just keep putting this stuff here, and then I'm gonna put leaves on top of it. Try to keep the whole thing. So I'll try to have it all covered up to the top by the end of the day, 15 more minutes, and then leave it for the week. And when I come back a week from now, it'll be about 6 or 8 inches down. It will have broken down that much. So yeah, we were over there a minute ago turning that pile. Just so you can see, it's a little stiff because it's still got moisture in it, but this was the compost. This was something that came out of a bin like that from last year. You can see there's still an eggshell or two in here, but this is just incredibly good, rich stuff. You'll see some sticks and imperfections, but it's really great. Also get composted manure from the wheat stables. I mix some of this together when I put the beds down for the winter, like that one over there. Compost, manure, straw on top. So, any questions? One last thing I'm starting to notice. So this pile that I'm working on is about, I would say, 5 or 6 weeks old. And when I started it, I didn't see any worms in it. But now, as I'm turning it, I'm beginning to see worms, even though it's the winter. Worms will find your compost, and if they do, you're really lucky, because that'll help the whole thing go a lot faster. I never put worms in my compost. I compost on the ground. They find it, and I've had compost piles out here where there are hundreds, if not thousands, of worms at one time that just found the place. So there you go. Thank you for your time.